Hi everyone, I'm Tim.
I'm Kat.
So this is the news update for, October 2023.
Scarily, yes, it is October.
This is a bit of a special edition of the news update because we went to Solar and Storage Live.
And that's the only news.
That's the only news.
Basically.
There is some other news, but we'll save that for next month because there's quite a lot to talk about with Solar and Storage. The Solar and Storage Live is it's a sort of trade show, I guess. You may have already seen a couple of videos by our YouTube friends, Speak to the Geek and Dan EV Solar. Those are probably a bit more detailed than what we're going to talk about here. So go and check those out. We're just going to talk about our impressions of the day and approximate trends that we saw and things like that.
I mean, like you say, it is felt like it was aimed more at trade show, but there were some other consumers, I guess, there, and it was very interesting.
And we did bump into a few of our viewers, which was very nice. Yeah.
Yes,
how many was it in the end? Do you think? Five or six?
Yeah, about half a dozen or so people that came and said hi. So if that was you, then
yeah, thank you very much for coming and saying hello. A couple of installers, I think, said hello as well. Who obviously follow the channel, so that's really nice to see that we got installers as well as consumers watching the video. That was good fun to meet some people and say hello. But yeah, the other thing, one of the main reasons we went actually was to meet up with our YouTube friends. So I mentioned Speak to the Geek and Dan EV Solar, but we also met up with Gary from Gary Does Solar, who doesn't live a million miles away from us actually. So we have met up with him a couple of times before.
Which is always lovely, but really nice to see the other guys in person as well.
Yes, it was good fun.
Yeah, it was really good. We were really pleased they made the effort, particularly Dan. I think had come quite a long way.
I think Dan had driven the longest of all of us. He'd driven for 3 hours. It was only about an hour and 20 minutes for us, so it wasn't too bad. But
he really put in the effort, and we were really pleased to see him. It was lovely to meet him. So he's taller in person.
Yeah, it's funny.
I always figured he was tall, but
taller than we were expecting. But there you go.
Yeah.
It's funny what YouTube makes you look like. Anyway,
I wonder what people think of us compared to how we are on camera if they meet us.
Yeah,
probably shouldn't think about that.
Let us know if you did meet us. Let us know.
Say hi.
Should we talk about the show?
Yes, let's talk about the show.
So we spent the Wednesday at Solar and Storage Live. We walked into, Hall 5, which is just enormous. I think it's one of the biggest halls they have. And apparently it is significantly bigger than it was in previous years.
Did they say it's about 7 years it's been running, I think?
Like that,
and particularly even from last year to this year, I think there's been a big jump in size, which really says a lot.
Yep.
I mean, just the floor show plan as you walk in, and there's this plan.
Yeah.
And you suddenly realise how much there is there.
Quite overwhelming, actually.
Yes.
We were exhausted by the end of the day. We were only there for the one day, but we zipped around as quickly as we could to see everything that we could. And we wrote a few notes to let you know what we thought. So Kat's got the notes here. I'm just having a look over. My observations. They were like obviously all the big players were there.
Yeah.
Like Give Energy were the sort of title sponsors.
Yes, they were right there as soon as you walked in. Give Energy were there, and
they were showing off all their new kit. The all-in-one and the 3-phase and battery EV charger, which has been announced. You can get that on pre-order now as well. And all, they had a very big stall, which was very fancy.
And nice to catch up with some of those guys.
Yep.
We've met some of them before.
Yeah, we met some of those.
Really nice to see them and catch up.
If you've seen our Give Energy office visit, we went to see them a couple of months ago, and so we had a catch up with them.
Yeah, they really are doing all the things at the moment.
Yeah, everything's going on.
Yeah.
Obviously there were the other big players there like My Energy and Solar Edge, and everyone that you would expect. But there was also absolutely tons and tons of ones that I'd never heard of. Just loads of basically mostly batteries, EV chargers. There were a lot of solar panel manufacturers there as well. Which you would expect. The one observation I had about the solar panels is that they are getting quite high power ratings now. So back when we spec'd our system, a typical top-end solar panel was about 400 watts. Now, the vast majority of them now are well north of 400s, hitting sort of 435. Was the sort of typical value that we were seeing. So even 1 year to the next, the power ratings are going up all the time. So I don't think it'll be long before we see domestic sort of 500 plus watt panels. Maybe a couple more years. There's already 500 plus watt commercial panels, but those are a bit bigger, I think, than the standard ones you get on domestic roofs.
Just moving very fast at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
And the other fun thing we saw in solar panels.
Yeah. What?
Bendy ones.
Oh yeah. So the one thing that caught my eye, there were a couple of solar panels. Yeah, literally really thin and flexible. So I knew that these existed, but I think these are going to start to become much more common over the next few years. That's one of my predictions. Over the next 5 years, we're going to see tons more of these.
It'd be interesting to see where that opens up. That you can put solar panels if you can bend them. I think we saw
it makes them much more flexible. Was it 3 different?
I think
manufacturers?
3 different manufacturers had them. So yeah.
And so they're obviously a lot lighter than a solid panel. So that's going to be really interesting to see if that becomes common. And they're not. It's not like they're low ratings or anything. These were 400 watt panels. Easily the same as a fixed panel. So yeah, not quite sure how they're able to do that, but that's really interesting. I only saw one solar tile stall. There may have been more, but it was just so big we didn't necessarily see every single stall.
I'm sure we missed some stuff.
But solar tiles, I think, are going to start to become more common as well. They're still, I believe, quite a bit more expensive than a standard solar panel. So I'm hoping that will become more common. I think that's going to be another big thing in the next few years as well. We're going to see more and more.
And we saw a few in roof systems as well.
Yeah,
there are a few more of those.
I think those are going to become
around.
Those are probably going to bridge the gap, aren't they, between?
Well, I think they're not quite as expensive, are they?
No, not for the time being.
And I think those could be another good solution. So
yeah. I think they look really neat. So the one thing you miss out on slightly with the in-roof stuff is that when it gets really hot, they don't have that natural cooling of the gap underneath that you get with sort of roof-mounted systems. So the in-roof ones are. I think they look great. They're sort of nice and aesthetically pleasing, but you lose a few percent efficiency in the heat of summer. But that's not a big deal.
Is that true for the solar tiles?
Probably
for the same reason.
Probably for the same reason. So it's a compromise you make when you get these systems.
Yeah.
If I was doing our roof from scratch without retrofitting, I would go for an in-roof system just for the aesthetics, even though we'll lose a few percent in the summer. But when you're in the summer, you've got more than you need anyway, so no big deal.
Yeah,
that would be my opinion.
I think the other thing actually on the solar panel front was that I did see at least one stand, maybe more, with new and different pigeon protection measures. I think people are looking at just slightly nicer looking options.
Yeah.
If that's something that you want to go for, we didn't go for it. We've talked about that before.
Yeah,
I probably don't need to go into it again, but we decided not to. But
there's Solar Skirt is one that I've heard of before. They were there, and they've got two different versions of their pigeon protection.
But there was another one that's got sort of, it's still metal, but it looks a bit nicer than the sort of chicken wire kind of option. It's more sort of fingers sort of pointing down of that. So I just think it's interesting to see all those little extras. Just looking a little bit nicer as well. People are definitely thinking aesthetics for solar panels as well as the practicalities.
Yeah, if that encourages more people to get solar, so much the better. What else have we got on our notes?
So, that was all the solar panels. Then, we've got to talk about the EV chargers.
Yeah, everyone's got an EV charger coming out now, it seems. I was interested to see Solar Edge have got an EV charger coming out that looks really interesting. Obviously, give energy. The Zappi was there as well, as you would expect. But literally every battery manufacturer is also coming out with an EV charger nowadays.
Yeah.
But there's
we didn't look at it in detail, did we? As to differences between them, that's not something it was just interesting to note how many of them
I think
there were.
The new innovations regarding EV chargers would be the bi-directional ones. I didn't specifically see any bi-directional ones there. I imagine there must have been because there were just hundreds of them. But that's going to be, I think, a big growth area in the next 5 years as well. So keep your eyes open for those. That will, by bi-directional I mean the car can then provide power to your home in the same way as a home storage battery. So that's the sort of thing I think is going to become more common as well in the next few years. But we shall see where that goes.
Yep. And also on the Me Too's then, batteries themselves.
Yep, tons and tons of batteries.
Tons and tons
of batteries. So who was
batteries.
it? We were at one of the stalls. Oh, Power Vault.
Yeah.
We were at the Power Vault stall, which is another British battery manufacturer, and
very fancy looking battery with disco lights on the front.
Yeah, disco
which
lights.
I quite liked.
Yeah, we like a bit of disco lights, and the chap at the stall. I'm sorry we didn't catch your name, but
totally forgot. Sorry.
He mentioned that he watches the channel, and it was nice to chat to him. And he said that last year there were 10 battery manufacturers, and this year there were 42. So that just shows you
it's ridiculous
how quickly things are moving nowadays. So it's very exciting times, but it does mean it's quite difficult to make a choice, I suppose, in terms of batteries and EV chargers and all that.
With so many options, it is hard to know. But they're probably, a lot of them are probably pretty similar tech under the hood, and possibly with the batteries actually exactly the same and just rebadged and rebranded for some of them.
I mean,
which is,
it's quite likely.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but
that wouldn't surprise me at all. So that was more or less it. I don't think we've got any more observations to make about the technology that we saw.
No, I think just overall impression was just how much is going on.
Yeah, it's
really
huge show. So I think it can't possibly get any bigger, surely. Maybe it can.
Who knows? I don't know. It was quite a lot, so I don't know if we would go again next year.
No,
I did enjoy meeting up with everyone though. That was really nice.
Yeah.
But
I guess the only other observation I'd like to make is that actually the NEC is very well appointed for EV chargers. We took our Fiat 500e up to the NEC, and we booked into the East 3 car park, which is the park and charge car park, and it's got, I think, 150 BP Pulse 7.5 kilowatt chargers. So basically, you take your own Type 2 cable along, you plug it in, you download the BP Pulse app, put some credit on it, and then just set it charging. And so we got there with about 20% battery left, and it was full when we came out. So brilliant.
So you pay less for the parking up front, and then you have to charge. Obviously, doesn't say how much you have to charge. You just have to charge a bit.
So you could,
and you can stop it.
Yeah, so you could just put like £5 credit on, and just use that if you want. I think it was 59 pence a kilowatt hour, which is slightly cheaper than the standard kind of amount that you pay on the public charging network with a rapid charger. But it's still obviously more expensive than charging at home. So our preference obviously would be to charge at home if we can. But given that the facility was there, and it meant that we could fill up and have a full battery for the journey home, that was very, very nice. They've also got a bank of 150 kilowatt chargers, I think, as well, which is useful if you want to just stop by and have a quick top up. That made life very convenient.
I think that sort of charging needs to be a little bit cheaper, but it's definitely the way forward with charging. It feels so good to just turn up somewhere, plug the car in, and by the time you come back, it's filled up. It just needs to be a little bit cheaper.
I think if they could make it comparable to, let's say, the domestic price cap, say 30 pence, I think that would be excellent. There'd be really no reason not to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I understand why obviously they need to make a profit and all that, but if they want to encourage more people to get EVs, and then that sort of slow trickle charging, I think does need to be more on a par with domestic charging, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we've got to say, isn't it? So
it is.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found that useful. If you want more details, go check out Speak to the Geeks video and Dan EV Solar's video. I'll put links to those up in the corner. I think, what is it, above my head? Yeah. And oh no, hang on.
No, it's up there.
It's above there. It's above Cat's head. I always forget because it's mirrored on the screen. Go check those out, and we'll catch you in the next one. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.